In episode 44, I chat with Ghost Peppers reliever Art Warr. Get ready as the former major leaguer discusses the Art of Warr. Our guest today is from Napoleon, Ohio, attended the University of Cincinnati and the University of Ashland, drafted by the Mariners in 2015, pitched in the big leagues for the Mariners and Reds, and currently a relief pitcher for the Gastonia Ghost Peppers. I know a guy, and his name is Art Warr. Art, how's it going?
It's going well, Noah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So your name is Arthur. You go by Art.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this. Art on its own, the name could mean champion. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
I think
cool.
You should go around the clubhouse just telling people to call you champion now.
I like it.
Apparently it's after the High Kings of Ireland.
Very cool. Very cool.
You were born in Defiance, Ohio. Other MLB pitchers from Defiance, Ohio, I found 4.
Yeah.
Do you know if you could name them?
I can name a couple. John Neese, Chad Billingsley, Chris Carpenter.
I didn't see Chris
He's
Carpenter.
probably from Bryan, Ohio.
The other 2 only made a handful of appearances in the
Did
big
they?
leagues.
Okay. Tyler Burgoon.
Don't have him on here.
Okay. He was with Seattle. And I wouldn't know the other.
Justin Hancock.
Okay.
And Chad Reineke, also a Red.
Chad Reineke, yeah. Okay.
Art, you were with the Mariners and Reds in the big leagues, Yankees in the minor leagues last season. What are the differences you found in the organizations?
I think all 3 organizations do really well developing pitching. You know, I've been fortunate to be with, I think, 3 of probably the top half of the league in pitching development. The one that stands out the most is probably the Yankees. You know, they have unlimited amount of resources, especially when it comes to pitch shaping and grip changes and, you know, just the amount of technology that they have down in Tampa at one of their facilities called the gas facility. It's pretty incredible. Cameras everywhere. They're able to slow the pitch down to see how it moves and see the way the seam orientation is, and they're just unlimited in the resources they have. I would say they're probably number 1. Seattle's doing a really good job of developing. I would say they're number 2, and you know I have a soft spot for Cincinnati because it's home, and you know I give a ton of credit to DJ Johnson who kind of helped me put together some of my best seasons in the big leagues. I grew up actually a Tigers fan because the Toledo Mud Hens are just down the road from us. And so we'd go to the Mud Hens games all the time. Would watch guys like Joel Zumaya and Fernando Rodney come down and make rehab appearances, and kind of fell in love with those 2 guys, and they just happened to be Tigers, so I rooted softly for the Tigers growing up.
You have 3 pitches, slider, 4-seamer, and sweeper. When you go into every at-bat, what is usually your game plan? Do you start off with a 4-seamer, then go with the off-speed? Do you pitch backwards? How do you usually approach each at-bat?
So typically in my career I've pitched backwards. It's always been the mentality of a race to 2 strikes, as well as, you know, trying to put myself in the best position to succeed. So I feel like with both of those, you know, I like to throw a slider first to get ahead, especially the tighter one, and then I like to just kind of spray the heater, just rear back and fire it and try to fill the square anywhere. That's been the approach for the better part of my career. We're trying to make a shift into throwing the heater a little bit more here with Tony, so I'm kind of excited to see how that unfolds.
Are there any Reds connections there? Of course, I know you weren't with the Reds organization while Tony was there, but any overlapping players?
Yeah, we have several people in common that we know, but yeah, I just missed him. I think he was there in 19, and I came over in the offseason of 2020.
You get very low in your set. You go in a very, very low crouch. What's the reason for that?
So I just started doing it this offseason. I was with Scranton last year, you'd mentioned that, and I didn't pitch very well at all. It's coming off my first year, my second elbow surgery. So I decided this offseason I needed to try to change something mentally when I'm on the mound to kind of lock in a little bit more, to stay focused a little bit more. I felt like, you know, I maybe wasn't quite all there last year mentally, just trying to worry about too much in that first year back. You're trying to be too perfect. So I decided to crouch into that and kind of lock in and take 1 pitch at a time, and that's what it led to out there is just a low squat. And when I look at the catcher, I'm telling myself, whenever I squat down, I tell myself it's like it's on.
So you made that decision on your own in the offseason?
Correct.
And you think, and it's, I mean, great numbers with Gastonia this season, 2.7 ERA, so it's something that's working for you and you're just going to continue going forward? Yeah,
I think so. If it ever gets to a point, and Tony and I have had this conversation about it, like wearing on my body, But I'd also said if that crouch is wearing on me, then maybe it's time for me to go home. It's not very taxing in that sense, but yeah, I'm gonna ride it out. I like it. When I get into that crouch and take my sign, like I'm flipping my mind, and it's the ultimate competitive mode.
Aside from the crouch, what else is going right for you this season with the good numbers you've had with the Peppers?
I think just taking the outings for what they are. I know that sounds pretty simple, and sometimes the best way to go about the game is just to keep it simple as possible. Last year I overanalyzed everything and tried to do too much, from outing to outing to outing to try to make up from a previous outing. I think this year I'm just taking one outing at a time, good or bad, and flushing it, and just done a really good job of showing up to the yard every day with treating it as a brand new day. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Today's a new opportunity, whether it's good or bad. The previous outing, it's a good day to stack something up.
All right, you had an elite 2021 season with the Reds. I mean elite. In 26 games, you went 3-0, 1.29 ERA, 8 walks, 34 punch-outs. You had 17 straight scoreless appearances to end the year. How locked in were you in that 2021 season?
It's pretty locked in. I would consider I always try to go back and see what was working for me mentally, physically in that moment. And I think it really comes down to I was just in a flow state. I wasn't, again, we just talked about it. I wasn't thinking too much, wasn't trying to do too much. I think you get into a mode where you just trust yourself and you don't think about the results too much. And you'll find yourself 0-1, 0-2, 1-2 in a lot of counts. And that's what I was able to do in that stretch. The staff in Cincinnati also put a ton of trust into me and to kind of jump into some tight ball games and leverage situations, and that just kind of built some confidence in me, and I just ran with it.
You said sometimes you go back, thinking about that 21 season. Do you watch film in order to do that and remember while watching film, okay, this is what I was working on in this instance, this is what I was working on in this instance, like that, or is it just really thinking about that season?
They say a little bit of both. Definitely watching the mechanics of it. I like the way my stuff was coming out of my hand, the shapes of it. I had a really good slider that year. But also, I try to just go back and think about, some of the notes I might have written down in 21, what was working, where my mindset was, and just try to remember where my mindset was as well. I think, it goes back to what I just said. I was in a place where I just trusted my stuff, and I felt like whenever I took the mound, I was going to win the battle every time out.
Well, I want to test your memory because there's a game that stands out, a lot of games that stand out from that impressive game log in 2021. But September 18th, you faced the Dodgers. You struck out 3 in the inning that you pitched in. Who were those 3 batters?
Let's see. Trey Turner was one.
Yep.
Justin Turner was the other one. No?
Turner singled, I believe.
Okay. Max Muncy, I think, to finish the inning. And I don't know if it was Chris Taylor. It was Chris Taylor.
It was Chris Taylor.
Yeah.
So Trey Turner finished 5th in MVP voting that year.
Yep.
Max Muncy had a career-high 36 homers, and Chris Taylor, that was his lone All-Star appearance in 2021. So all 3 had pretty special seasons, and you dismantled them in that inning.
Pretty cool.
You rarely have up-downs, whether it was the 21 season going through that game log, whether it's this year. I believe it was only one time when you went more than one inning. It was this past weekend. Is it challenging to have an up-down? Why are you and so many relievers, why are you more comfortable going just one inning?
It's a good question. I think that I can't speak for everybody, but for most of us, I feel like, when a reliever comes into the game, we're spending 5+ innings preparing for 3 outs, and typically they're leverage outs. So, we're gassing our tank physically and mentally for those 3 outs, and it's just so hard to, prepare for 5 innings to go out there and do that, and then to go sit, and then you got to flip that switch on again. I think that's why most guys prefer just to go their 1 inning, do their job, and get out of there. Certainly, that's how I feel. So.
I know Tony, I'm sure you might have bonded with him on this because he was known as a loogie,
Yeah.
left-handed one-out guy.
That's
So
right.
he thrived in that role of specifically going just 1 inning. Have you had conversations with that about him?
Yeah, a little bit. He's kind of favoring us to do 1+ here, so it's interesting. He was a one inning guy, 1/3 of an inning, 2/3 of an inning guy, and now he's telling us to go multiple. So it's a little funny. But yeah, we've joked about that, and I give him a hard time about how if I threw one out every time, I could pitch 12 years in the show too.
Do you ever have a goal of, oh, maybe this season I'm going to try to go multiple innings like Tony is saying, or you know that one inning suits you best, you're more comfortable in that role, so they'll utilize you in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely more comfortable in the one-inning role, but the game is also changing, and I have to adapt to throwing multiple innings. And we've had conversations, Tony and I, about that, and maybe that's the path back to affiliate ball is through multiple innings. So, I'm open to grow, and that's maybe an area for me to grow in is to go out there and get 4 or 5 outs at a time versus just 3.
We have a segment on this podcast called Cool Connections, whether it's a household name or someone who's helped you along in your baseball journey, whether they're with the Mariner system, the Red system, anyone you've interacted with, who is a cool connection you have made?
I have several. I would say Derek Johnson probably stands out the most. Again, I have to give him tons of credit for my most success in the big leagues. He was a pitching coach there at Cincinnati. And then behind him would be Pete Woodworth. He's a pitching coach now in Seattle. He was my minor league high A and double A pitching coach, and he did a great job with developing me and challenging me and putting me into situations for me to succeed. And ultimately it led to a call-up, and he was on the flight with me to go up to Seattle, so that's pretty cool.
So a cool connection that I know Gastonia fans will care a lot about. You and Zach Jarrett follow each other on Instagram. That's something I noticed. When did you meet Zach?
So Zach Jarrett was down at X2 facility down in North Carolina, just a little north. And we'd met like in the off-season of 2021. And, followed each other on Instagram, spent a little bit of time training at that facility. So we know of each other. We know each other a little bit, but not enough for me to call him up and get the lowdown on I think his dad, right? His dad?
Yeah, Dale.
Yeah.
Is that how you found out about Gastonia, following him on Instagram, or was it a different route?
No, it was a different route. The guys over here at Tread, like Turner Givens is the guy I work with at Tread. He had mentioned Gastonia back in January, and we ended up going to Mexico first, and then Brady had stayed in contact with me, and I ended up getting a hold of Brady again after I left Mexico, and we were able to put together a contract for me to come here.
So, very interesting thing that happened when you were pitching. May of 2022, you relieved Hunter Green in the 8th inning of a no-hitter against the Pirates. You allowed a run but didn't allow a hit. Pirates ended up winning the game 1-0. So you guys threw a no-hitter, but you didn't because you lost the game. Have you ever been a part of anything like that side, winning side, losing side before that?
I've been on the better end of it.
Okay.
I watched Wade Miley throw a no-hitter in Cleveland in 21. That was pretty cool. And then Hunter and I go out, and it was interesting. Like, as soon as the game ended, our clubby came in, and we had to strip all the way down, jerseys, hats, pants, everything off because they were going to send it off to Cooperstown. He said, even though you lost, it's the 6th game in history for that to happen. So they still wanted to authenticate everything. And, yeah, it was unfortunate that we were on the wrong end of it.
Did you say anything to the offense? Like, come on, guys.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
You can't, right?
Yeah, you can't say anything.
We have a Pep Talk segment on the podcast. What is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Wow. Best piece of advice I've ever gotten.
Yep.
Chase your dreams if you believe it. Yeah, if you work hard enough, you can achieve them.
Who gave that to you?
That was my mom.
It's a good piece of advice.
It's worked out so far.
I'd say it certainly has. Art, are you a Happy Gilmore fan by any chance?
Yeah.
You excited for Happy Gilmore 2 coming out in a few days?
Yeah, I heard that it's going to be released on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix only, not theaters.
Yeah, not theaters, which is wild. I would have liked to see in theaters, grab some popcorn, grab like a blue slushie and go, watch Happy Gilmore. But we can do that from the couch for a little bit cheaper.
Which side of the aisle are you on? Are you on the fact that, I don't want them to ruin the original, or more Adam Sandler, the better? I'm very, very excited about this.
That's a good question. I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. I think most of his films are great, but yeah, you don't want him to ruin the first one. The first one's great; it's a classic. But I also don't think that Adam Sandler could go wrong in Happy Gilmore 2.
I agree. I'm very excited for it. Your walk-up song is by Warren G.
Mm-hmm.
Any coincidence there? Is it specific because your last name's Warren?
Yeah.
You wanted Warren G. That's why.
That's it. Yeah, I like the smooth tone of Regulate, and just kind of keeps the vibe like mellow and also fires me up a little bit. And yeah, just because it was Warren G, I had to go with it. makes sense.
How long has that been your walk-up for?
I usually switch my walkout every year. I've done How Do You Want It by Tupac in Cincinnati. I've done Put On by Jeezy in Cincinnati, which was fitting because I was from Ohio, so put on for my city. I felt like me going to school there and coming back and pitching for the Reds. That one made a lot of sense. This year makes a lot of sense. So I usually try to switch it up every year.
Art, we already went through the fact that you've struck out some pretty talented hitters in terms of the September game against the Dodgers. Who is the toughest hitter you've ever faced?
The toughest hitter I face is probably Freddie Freeman for me. The hands, he's got quick hands. The hole he has is inside, and it's tough to get in there because you know how fast his hands are, so he can turn on it. But he's always the one, when I get asked that question, he just stands out the most. I struggle with him the most. Can actually vividly remember the at-bat in L.A., and he's just a tough out.
What was the result?
I walked him.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he didn't get a hit off you.
No, but I walked him. I think he did get a hit later in the year, but he's a guy that controls his zone very well, and you know, his accolades and his career speak for itself.
Reigning World Series MVP.
Yeah.
If you could make one rule change, if you were commissioner for a day, if you could make one rule change in MLB or in baseball, what would it be? You could use pitcher bias, of course.
Yeah, I would get rid of I don't mind the pitch clock because it speeds up the games. I would probably get rid of the disengagement rule because I think guys can just take advantage of that. I think that's kind of taken away from the game. You know, sometimes in playoff baseball, you want to see a guy throw over 5 times and the crowd starts to boom, but that's part of holding the runner, you know. So I would say that's probably the one thing that sticks out to me is the disengagement rule.
So unlimited disengagements.
Yeah. You know, if you're gonna have the pitch clock, that speeds up the game enough to where we don't need to have only 3 disengagements.
You're wearing a Gastronaut shirt right now.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite what-if name from last year? Do you know the names? Do you know all that situation?
I think Gastronauts comes in first. The Dino, what was it? The Dino?
Galactic Dinos.
Galactic Dinos comes in second. And then the third one, we actually like the Ghost Peppers. I like the Ghost Peppers.
Okay. So you're a Gastronaut's truth. I think Jack is too.
Yeah.
I think Jack always, every time
Yeah.
there's a Gastronaut's jersey for you guys to sign or anything, he's always.
Yeah, this would have been cool. This would have been cool.
I think it's cool also. Would you consider yourself a very intense pitcher while on the mound? Or are you one of those guys who are, you know, all smiles in the locker room, as I know you to be, but then when you get on that mound, you're intense, you're the last person anyone wants to have a friendly conversation with kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's always been, you know, in my DNA on the mound. It's an opportunity for me to compete at the highest level, and any chance I get to compete, I'm going to take advantage of it. You know, you know, you could say flip the switch, but I like to flip the switch when I'm on the mound. You know, it's a mentality that DJ Johnson instilled in me. It's me versus you for everything that I have, you know, and I love that mentality, and so I carry that on the mound. You know, every time I step on there, it's an opportunity for me to compete, opportunity for me to take care of my family, opportunity for me to do what I love on the mound. And you're in a ring, you know, dirt ring, or I guess a turf ring here, where nothing else matters except for, you know, what you and your catcher have planned to take care of the hitter. It's pretty cool.
What's the goal for you this season?
I think the goal for me this season is just to get a good amount of work in here. You know, that was a big reason why I wanted to come here to Gastonia to get some innings in, and try to just, you know, grow my game in any way, you know, we see fit, and see where that takes me. I don't want to set the bar too high. You know, I think that the lower goals here are the way to go, and then just see where it takes you. You know, try to be where your feet are and just stay present as possible.
Well, Art, you're certainly staying present right now. 2.7 ERA, very good start to the season. Best of luck the rest of the season, and thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, Noah.